Welcome to the Paycheck Project. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.
We're going to break down how you can find the absolute best certificate of deposit rates out there, and maybe even more importantly, how to sidestep those sneaky hidden traps that can really cost you. So let's just jump right in. Look at that number, 4.6%. Right now, that is the highest CD rate you can get anywhere in the country. I mean, think about it. In a world where everything feels a little uncertain, that's a seriously fantastic guaranteed return on your cash.
So you see that number and think, done deal, right? Highest rate is always the best. Well, it's actually a lot more complicated than you'd think. And figuring out the why behind that, that's the secret to making a really smart move with your savings.
Okay, first up, let's check out the prize, what's actually on the table. Here are the top 5 CD rates in the country right now. Okay, take a look at this list. Connexus, DR Bank, Hustle. Great rates. But here's the really interesting part. Look at the term column. See a pattern? The absolute highest rates, that 4.60%, that 4.51%, they're for super short terms, like 7 months or even 6 months. And that, right there, is a really fascinating puzzle we need to solve. Right, so why in the world would a bank pay you more for a 7-month loan than for a 5-year one? It seems totally backward, doesn't it? Well, the answer is actually a huge clue, a little signal about where the Fed and interest rates are probably going next. What you're seeing is something called an inverted yield curve. Now, that sounds fancy, but all it really means is the market is basically screaming at us that it expects the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates soon. See, banks are happy to pay you a premium for your money right now, but they're terrified of getting stuck paying you these high rates for years to come. They're betting that in the near future, rates are going to drop.
So this leaves you with a really important choice. It's a classic dilemma. Do you go for the short-term win, grab that amazing 4.6% right now, but run the risk of having to reinvest at a much, much lower rate in just 7 months? Or do you play the long game? You take a slightly lower rate today, but you'd lock in that solid return for the next 3, 4, or even 5 years. What do you do?
Now, before you answer that, hold on. There is a trap, a really nasty one, actually, that's hiding in the fine print. And if you don't watch out for it, it can take a great-looking CD and turn it into a money-losing disaster. I mean, here's the question we all have to ask, right? What if you need that money back early? Life happens. The car breaks down, the roof leaks, you never know. And that's where something called an early withdrawal penalty, or EWP, kicks in. And let me tell you, they are not all the same, not even close.
Just look at this. This chart shows everything. Let's say you put 10 grand into a 1-year CD and have to pull it out after 6 months. With Pacific National Bank, no big deal. You still make over $180. But then look down at One American Bank. The APY looks pretty good, right? But their penalty is so brutal, 9 months of interest, that you don't just lose all your earnings, you actually lose $108 of your original money. You end up with less than you started with. That is the trap right there. Yeah, this quote from the analysis just nails it. A high rate paired with a monster penalty? That's not a safe investment anymore. It's basically a gamble. You're betting that you won't need your own money for a year. That thing you thought was a super safe place to park your cash has suddenly turned into a high-risk bet, all because of a few lines of fine print. Okay, so now that we know the risks and we understand what the market's telling us, where do you actually go to find the good stuff? Let's pull out the map and see who the real players are. Look, your first stop, 9 times out of 10, should be online banks. It's pretty simple, really. They don't have to pay for all those expensive buildings and branches, so they can pass that savings straight to you with way better interest rates. It's a huge advantage. All right, next up are credit unions. And these guys are often the ones with the absolute top of the market rates. Why? Because they're not for profit. They're owned by you, the members. Their job isn't to make money for Wall Street shareholders, it's to give the best deals back to their members. And that often means you get the best rates, period. And then, of course, you've got your traditional big-name banks, the ones on every street corner. And yes, it's nice to be able to walk in and talk to someone, but let's be real, the numbers don't lie. Their rates on savings and CDs are just consistently dramatically lower. If you're hunting for a high yield, this is almost never where you're going to find it. All right, so you've got the map, you know the terrain, you know where the traps are. Let's put it all together. Here is a super simple 4-step checklist to make sure you pick the perfect CD for what you need.
It really just boils down to these 4 things. 1. Know your timeline. Are you playing the short game or the long game? 2. Hunt down the best APY for that specific timeline. 3. And this is the big one. Read the fine print. What's that early withdrawal penalty look like? Is it a little slap on the wrist or a knockout punch? And finally, 4. Just make sure you can meet the minimum deposit. That's it. You do these 4 things, and you're going to make a great choice. And that brings us right back to where we started, to that big choice. The market is basically laying out 2 different paths for you. So the question is, what are you going to do? Will you lock in that security for the long haul, or are you going to chase that super high yield we're seeing today? Now you know what to look for, so you can make the right call for you.